Look, as a scientist, I'm not just sitting back dispassionately advising people to get the vaccines that I wouldn't be willing to get myself. We're all in the middle of this pandemic, and we all want out of it. I have seen all the data, and if there were any concerns, believe me, I would not be taking that vaccine. But after having seen the data, if I could be first in line, I absolutely would. My name is Deepta Bhattacharya. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Immunobiology here at the University of Arizona College of Medicine. My lab has been long interested in understanding antibody responses and immune responses. Now we're transitioning to understanding how those immune responses work after the vaccine. Vaccines are really one of the, if not maybe the most important biomedical breakthrough of mankind. And if you think about the number of lives that it saved, it's really astronomical. In general, what a vaccine is trying to do is to get your body to start an immune response that is similar to what would happen if you got infected, but without getting you sick. The first ones that we're seeing, and the ones that are extraordinarily effective right now, are called mRNA vaccines. The virus is what's called an RNA virus, so that when it infects your cells, it deposits a bunch of nucleic acids or genome called ribonucleic acids. That's how the virus encodes its proteins, it makes more copies of itself, and then it starts to infect other cells. The mRNA vaccines are basically taking one very tiny part of what the virus would be making anyway, and the most important part for the immune system to recognize and block virus infection. So it's sort of the perfect world because it's mimicking the key important parts of the virus, but it's only one part of it, so you can't make more virus. So it's just focusing that immune response on exactly what you want. So the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccines, I think first off, the one thing that we learned from these trials is that they're extraordinarily efficacious. They reduce the risk of disease by about 95% relative to those who hadn't been vaccinated. So that's outstanding. That's right up there with some of the best vaccines that we have. I think some people are wondering, how is it that we managed to get these vaccines out so quickly, and is it something we need to be worried about? One of the things that really allowed the rapid development of these vaccines was decades of basic research into understanding how coronaviruses work. The clinical trials and the phases are the same as any other vaccine trial. That part hasn't been accelerated really at all, except by the fact that the pandemic is raging. And so we've got a much better chance to see whether the vaccine is working and protecting people or not. So I think that there really isn't much concern at all in terms of how fast these vaccines were developed, because it's not the important parts that were accelerated. The person I was really worried about was my father, who is old, and he has asthma, and that's the concern. Just this morning, he got his first dose of Moderna, so I am ecstatic. Internally, it gives me a sense of relief knowing that the likelihood that my father, who would be at great risk of severe disease, is in all likelihood going to be protected. I'm deeply proud of what is actually going to end this pandemic, right? It's science, it's immunology, it's virology, it's vaccinology. And I see it coming, I really do. I think my wife and I are, with the efficacy of these vaccines, we're getting ready, we're planning our summer travel as is right now. So I think things are going to get better sooner rather than later.